Hello and welcome to Crafty Concepts with Erin. Today I'm going to put together a two-page layout featuring the Feels Like Home paper collection from Close to My Heart. I'm sorting through the pattern papers to decide which ones I want to incorporate on this layout. I always begin by roughly placing my photos to decide an overall design concept and then start bringing in the pattern papers. I'm just experimenting to see which one I like better, and then I go ahead and remove the zip strips from the top of each paper and set aside for later use. I really like this paper pack and all the featured colors. It has kind of an old-fashioned, elegant feel to it, and I thought it was just perfect for these pictures of my family and I that we snapped on a family outing to Columbia State Park. We saw this split rail fence in the parking lot and thought, what a neat place for a family photo. And I'm so glad we stopped and took the time to snap the picture because we ended up using it on our Christmas card for the year. I am using the Feels Like Home scrapbooking workshop, which comes with the paper packet, the coordinating complements. You do get 4 cardstock sheets and also the watercolor die cuts, gold glitter gems, and 4 top-loading memory protectors come with the kit. Additionally, I have these Picture My Life cards that you see me sorting through here, and I like to get these because they're nice to have on hand. You can fussy cut around some of the embellishments to incorporate on the page or use some of the pieces as titles, and they're just kind of a quick way to add detail to the page. I'm actually going to use one of the cards, You Feel Like Home to Me, for my main title. There are different versions of this workshop. You can purchase a deluxe kit that does include everything the workshop does, but you also get a stamp and blueprints to create different layouts. So I will include the links to those different options in the description so you guys can check out which kit appeals to you. I'm using the black ink to go around the edges of this main photo just to help that stand out and define the difference between the cardstock layers. I'm using just a trimming of one of the zip strips below the title just to help underline that and draw attention to it. I've decided I want to carry this pattern paper all the way across to unify the two sides of the layout. This kit does come with 1 sheet of the black cardstock, so I did have to pull in additional 1 additional sheet to complete the look I wanted. I always try to have the basic cardstock colors on hand because you never know when you're going to need them. So I'm playing around with the black cardstock. I'm not really sure how much black I want showing around this photo. So I'm just experimenting, and I decide to go ahead and leave it longer and dovetail this particular piece. But once I put it on the layout, I decide I don't really like the way it looks, and I end up cutting that piece to be a rectangle around the photo. I just felt that the piece looked random with the rest of the layout. It didn't really fit, so I'm going to go ahead and cut that down to size. So this is the cut apart sheet, and I thought I might incorporate this title onto the page, so I quickly just fussy cut around this banner. It says Together Always, so I thought it would be appropriate for our family photos. So I try a few different areas to work this title in, but I'm not really sure I like how it looks. So I move on and decide I want a little bit more of the white cardstock showing around the edges of this sugar plum dotted pattern paper. So I just trim off a 1/2 inch from those. And in the end, I decide to go back with my Picture My Life card for my title. And then we're going to evenly cut the cardstock to mat this photo. And then before I get any further, I like to go ahead and get everything adhered into place. There's nothing worse than finishing a entire layout and then knowing you have to take it all apart so you can glue it all down. I do end up sanding the black cardstock so that white shows through. I feel like the paper pack is kind of old-fashioned and has that farmhouse feel, so I thought the distressing of the cardstock would play into that overall design theme. As I mentioned earlier, we snapped these photos on a family outing to Columbia State Park. And it's just a really neat place to go. It's a historical gold mining town, and there's a blacksmith shop, a candy kitchen where you can get all sorts of homemade candies. You can go for a stagecoach ride and pan for gold, all the fun things you would think of in an old historic town. And it ended up being such a nice day. So I'm glad I have these photos to capture the memory. So this is the sticker sheet and the chipboard elements. I'm not quite sure which ones I want to incorporate, so I changed gears for a bit, and again I'm going through the Picture My Life cards and pull out this piece. By cutting it in half and tucking it into the top and bottom, it kind of looks like one long strip back there. And then I want to bring in some journaling pieces. I'm experimenting with maybe bringing in a pop of green with that zip strip, but I decided in the end I don't like it and want to keep my color palette as it is. I'm going to use this Picture My Life journaling card below my photo, so I want it the same width as my picture. So I just trimmed that down to size. And I love how it already has the flower element on there. It almost looks like a stamp, but it is just already pre-printed on that journaling card. So from here, I'm going to bring in bits and pieces from the complements and chipboard shapes to embellish the layout. After I get my journaling card tacked down into place, I will go ahead and record the notes that I want to include. And I don't always like my handwriting, but I try to remember that it is a personal touch. And years from now, when maybe my grandchildren are looking at the album, I think they'll be happy to see what my handwriting looked like. And so just remember that next time you're critical of your own handwriting, just remember it's a personal touch and people will like to have that down the line. As you can see, I'm getting quite a bit of mileage out of the Picture My Life cards. The journaling block, the title, and then the black and kind of off-white diamond pattern there I've tucked into the top and bottom are all from that card set. And whatever you have left over, they do make really quick and easy cards as well. So I like to have those with the paper pack to incorporate. So as I work around the layout, just experimenting with the placement of my embellishments, you can see I put the sticker on a piece of plastic and move the plastic around before I decide on the final placement. Sometimes you can put baby powder on the back to remove the adhesive and then just use your tape runner or glue dots to tack those down. Either way works fine. This little title sticker here, or saying, I wanted it to stand out a little bit more, so I'm just matting it on black cardstock just to help define that sticker. I'm going to use my foam tape just to pop up this flower embellishment here. And then it's nice to be able to tuck things underneath it since it's kind of elevated on the page. So this zip strip has words, and you can use it as one long piece or cut the words into individual sayings, which is what I decide to do, and then just incorporate them on the top of the page there. It says happy together. These are the chipboard shapes, and I'm just seeing if there's anything else I'd like to incorporate into this area. I've decided that since I have a flower in the lower left corner, I wanted to continue that theme around the layout. So I'm just kind of layering up a cluster in this lower right hand corner. And again, I'm going to use my foam tape to kind of pop that up off the page. And then we'll put a pink flower there just to kind of, I want to carry this pink color around the layout to each cluster. I've decided I like this element up here, so I can remove it from my plastic piece of scrap there and then permanently tack that down. Again, we're just going to add the pink up there to kind of carry that pink flower theme. And I'm using, again, another Picture My Life card just to kind of tuck behind that main photo and give it a little bit more detail. This is a patterned piece of paper in the same shade of Sugar Plum, so I think it looks nice just kind of framing that. I'm going to use my corner rounder and some of the black scrap papers that I have to mimic the gray scalloped edge of that chipboard piece. So I decided to make my own layer here using that corner rounder. If you remove the frame on there, you can go ahead and punch a scalloped border like this. Okay, here is the finished layout. As you can see, I mimicked the black scallop border at the top of the page to mirror the bottom, and I think it's just what it needed to finish it off. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to click like and subscribe so you don't miss any future videos. And thank you for watching Crafty Concepts with Erin. We'll see you next week.